Sometime in the mid-90s, Alan G., a former classmate at Manual, shows up at the bookstore, ice cream in hand. It was about this time that White Mountain Creamery was next door to the bookstore with some of the best ice cream in the city. Alan sat on the steps next to my desk, and we talked. Of course, talking to Alan, you talk about one thing. You talk about the high school years. At one point in the conversation, I told Alan that I had a crush on Julia. He laughed and he said, so did half the other males at Manual. I said, well, Alan, this was a little different. Julia was captain of the cheerleaders and homecoming queen our senior year. I met her in ninth grade social studies class. Developed a huge crush. I was set in my sixth period class trying to devise something clever to say as I walked by her locker. After struggling for 15, 20, 25 minutes, I would usually just say, "Hi, Julia," as I walked by. About a week later, Alan comes back to the store, sits on the step, ice cream in hand once more, and he says, Harold, I didn't tell you that Julia and I are still best friends, and I talk to her on the phone at least once a week. I told her I saw you, and that you hadn't changed. You still hadn't combed your hair. You know what she said? She said, Alan, I never told you this, but I had the biggest crush on that guy. Yeah. 20 years after the fact, I found out that she had the biggest crush on this guy. Alan said she wouldn't mind getting together for a dinner. So yeah, after all this time, we arranged to meet at the Uptown. I'm just about as nervous before this meeting as I was when I was in ninth grade science class. We meet, I very hyper manic man mode, talk about my time in the service, my life in New York, my involvement in the civil rights movement, my promoting jazz concerts. I go on and on and on. The dinner ends and I get a closer look at Julia. Many years have gone and we've traveled different paths. A lot of makeup, false fingernails, maybe a wig. Very pretty still, very, very pretty. About a week later, Alan comes back to the store for a third time and tells me that Julie would like to see me again. I decided that not to see her, not to call. 2 months' time had passed and we had indeed chosen different paths in our life. It was best to leave the fantasy of the ninth grade unspoiled in my head. Another story in the life of Harold.